Hello, everyone. Welcome. I just had a panic moment because I was like, oh no, I have to go post on Twitter. But I just remembered I scheduled that tweet, so I don't have to post on Twitter. Smart. Anyways, thank you so much to everyone who is here. We are going to be discussing round 7 of Vaultathon, where we watched The Hunchback of Notre Dame and we read The Sound of the Stars by Alicia Dow. So, Christine, did you have your sound on again?
No.
It wasn't you this time?
It wasn't me this time.
Okay, anyways, hello everyone. We have Anne-Marie in the chat, maybe if I can get it to work. There we go. And we also have Liz. Hello. Liz has been suffering with us. Anne-Marie, I don't know if I've seen you in the Discord, but I haven't been in the Discord pretty much all day, so that probably doesn't surprise me. Anyways, let's go ahead. We'll go this way. Why are you shaking your head at me? We'll go.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's the same order on everyone's, is it?
I was gonna say we'll go Kara, Christine, Bree, Xander, Lauren in introducing ourselves. I'm just gonna wave my hand
clockwise
like this until you figure that out. Hello. In the chat, let us know if you read the book, watched the movie. Feel free to drop anything you'd like us to talk about for either. The way we work for these live shows are we talk about the movie first. I'm sorry if you have not seen Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I'm not
we
sorry.
We will be spoiling it. Hey, Brianna. It's been out since I was a child, so like the spoiler warnings.
Don't do it.
They're what's the word when you, like they don't count anymore. What's the word when it's like it's been too long to bring legal action. What's the word?
Like statute of limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations. I'm gonna say hello to everyone.
The book's also been out since 1830, so
I mean that too. But I have a feeling the book and the movie are very different.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that.
Primarily in the fact that someone in the movie dies in the book. So at least
multiple people. They all died.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
Yeah. There's
God damn, Victor Hugo is depressing.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's the point. That's the point.
I am in fact going to read it because it's historical, so it bypasses the unhappy ending. Rule.
Yeah, it's not so much like the unhappy ending thing. There are specific things that I know that happened that I'm like, this would enrage me too much.
Yes. There are definitely, from what Christine and I have discussed, there are definitely things in the book that would be very triggering for some people too. So like go into that one. But I want to read it because I do like I like Victor Hugo's writing and like what he does, his commentary on society the society that he had, and also how so much of it is applicable to now, as is also the same. I mean, different, but the same with the movie. So, yes, I'm doing the Doctor Strange thing. Anyways, so I'm gonna let my lovely hosts introduce themselves. Oh no, I was telling y'all how we were gonna do this live show. Anyways, talking about the movie. Statute of Limitations is out on spoilers, so I'm sorry if you haven't watched it. We will give some general thoughts about the book, probably as we kind of transition into that from the movie, because we'll talk about maybe some of the themes that they share. And then we will go into a spoiler section for the book. Anyone who has not read the book can bounce. But I hope you all have, because it is a fantastic, fantastic book. So
much better than the goddamn movie. Sorry, Bree.
It's all right. Bree doesn't think it's perfect either. We were griping about a couple of things.
I don't. It's
all right.
Nothing is
Sarah,
perfect.
do you want to go introduce yourself?
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Kara. My channel is Wild Book Garden. I read a wide variety of things. I'm very passionate about how important that is across genres and age ranges. I'm actually currently hosting the Middle Grade Magic Readathon. I think today is our last day. I should know that since I'm the host. But
it was the 10th to the 18th.
There you go. See, other people know this.
Only because I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it's fine. We're also just reading middle grade throughout the month of July and always, so it works.
I'm just saying, make it the whole month, guys.
Yeah.
I know listen. Do I need to convince Kier? Because I can work on convincing Kier.
I actually do like month-long readathons, but I know other people get burnt out with them, so that's kind of how we ended up with this system.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but so I don't know what I'm supposed to do to introduce myself, but
I think you
excited.
mostly did it. You said what you read a
Great.
lot and some of the stuff you do.
All right, cool. Yeah, excited to be here and discuss. I finally read the book, which I've been meaning to read for ages. So
Ooh,
time.
I'm excited to see what you thought of that, but we'll get there. No spoilers. We're not going to spoil
Yes.
that part. Christine, stop making faces at me and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Christine. I'm here again.
Y'all literally saw her 2 days ago.
Yeah, I especially in high school, but like continue to this day, I'm a pretty big Victor Hugo fan. So I actually have a personal vendetta against this film, and I'm going to be explaining why in great detail later. Margaret and I can fight all day because I think Les Mis is perfect, but yeah, we can fight all day. We can fight all day, and yeah. And yeah, that's I also have a master's in history, which is why I'm going to be particularly annoying tonight.
I just feel that they could have definitely leveled up Les Mis if they had given us Gavroche's backstory. That is so devastating.
Well, I was talking about the book, but
because I like the book so much.
I
like the musical as well.
Gavroche's backstory. But yeah, obviously that is one of the sad parts of the of the musical is they can't fit 1,300 pages.
Yeah, it is. The musical tried and
gave so much time to Stinky Eponine instead.
Yeah, I mean, I like Eponine, but like, there is.
I don't.
It's a very busy musical. If you are watching it for the first time, it's very hard to follow. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
No. But wait, because I have to say one thing about Eponine before we move on. If you all think she's so cool, her plan was not just to die for Marius, but for them to both die together. Her plan was like a murder-suicide like kind of solution. So fuck Eponine. Moving on.
I mean, I prefer him with Colette anyways. Cassette.
That's not even her name. Fake fan.
Cassette. All right, Bree, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll follow that up. That's fine.
Yeah. It's okay. We have the Hunchback anti, and then we have the person who was like, Hunchback is my favorite. Please, can we do it?
Well, it's not my singular favorite, but it is one of my favorites. I'm not very good at picking like a favorite thing. Like favorite books, like one of my 2 red shelves is entirely like almost entirely favorites at this point because I'm not good at picking favorites. So
I can very easily give you like a single favorite on a lot of things, but if you ask me to do my top 5, my brain will shut down.
Yeah. Oh
no, Lauren disappeared. It's okay. Lauren's internet does that sometimes. I think that happened on the sprints the other day too. So keep going, Bree.
But yeah, my name is Bree. You can see my channel name right there. But I talk about books, obviously. I read a wide variety of things, pretty much everything except memoirs, to be honest. I don't read memoirs. But
Christine! I'm not sure how you managed to be more nerdy than I am. I love you so much.
I just told you I have a master's degree in history. What do you expect? You don't get that way by thinking.
No, I don't see that as weird. Like something that people would see as a weird bit of nerdy. Like, does that make sense? Like, I think like a lot of people like, oh, you're into comics, what? But like people are like, yeah, history has value and merit.
No, you've never seen me freak out over a map, so we'll save that for another day.
Okay. All right, Bree. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt you.
You know, it's I expect it from Christine. You have a lot to say. There's nothing wrong with having a lot to say.
Margaret did it that time, Bree. I would never interrupt you.
Oh Lord. Okay. Let's see. I haven't read the book, the Hunchback book.
Okay.
I haven't read Hunchback the book, so I don't have that comparison to make. Because I know historically, obviously, that's another story. But like book versus movie, I don't have that comparison to make. So to be fair, you know. Yeah, that's just about it.
Okay.
Oh, Avengers. I'm part of the Avengers initiative.
You're Maria Hill.
Currently, I believe everyone in the chat right now, so probably everyone watching, is a part of the is also doing the Avengers. So, anyways, okay, Xander, would you like to introduce yourself, my friend?
Hello. I am Xander, also known as R, which, speaking of Les Mis, is a Grand Terre reference.
If you don't follow Xander on Twitter, their Twitter is actual.
Yeah, my Twitter name is actual Grand Terre. If you saw
I keep trying to type in
during
Xander or R to find you, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. My channel name is This Cubed because I'm also a fan of the Song of Achilles. And so if you want to watch some of my videos, you can. I haven't posted one in a very hot second, and I'm not part of anything as of late, so I don't have anything cool to promote. But yeah, I basically named myself after Alexander the Great and Grand Terre, so you know, I can talk about Les Mis all day if you really want me to.
Yes,
I like I got a theater degree because I saw the shitty, well, I'm not going to call it shitty because I don't think it's shitty, but I saw the 2013 movie in theaters and I was like, oh shit, this is the best thing ever. And then I took a stagecraft class and I was like, oh shit, this is the best thing ever. I'm going to build the fucking barricade. And so I was like, okay, yep, gonna do this. And so Les Mis is the reason why I got a degree in theater, and I saw it on the West End, and it was incredible. So I will defend the musical, and I will defend the book because I love the book.
Let's destroy Margaret together.
Yeah. I haven't read Hunchback though. I've only read Les Mis.
That's okay. Les Mis is better.
So
it is a long book, but it is so worth it. Like there's so much in there.
Enjolras and Grand Terre.
I will say
original, not original, but like OTP. Like they're OTP. Like it's like Achilles and Patroclus, Enjolras and Grand Terre. Like
one of my dream ways to die, because I have a list, is to die exactly like Enjolras died. Like just like shoot me out a fucking window with a red flag.
With a red flag, just
do it.
Holding the love of your life's hand.
Yes. Oh, we understand each other. We're friends. We're good friends now.
I like how this is turning into a Les Mis discussion already.
It's the superior.
Yeah, and we're not even done introducing her.
I know. There are a couple of technical things that I don't like about the movies, about certain people's singing technique, but otherwise I think they did a really good job of taking what was on stage and putting it on screen and streamlining it just a little bit that it needed.
The only thing I don't like about the movie
was really well done too.
What?
Cinematically, I think it was really well done.
Yeah, the cinematography is actually like pretty decent.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous, but it's not too crisp to where it's like obnoxiously distracting.
Yeah. Literally the only thing I don't like about the movie is the song Suddenly, because they literally just put it in there to win an Oscar.
It's
and they didn't even win the Oscar.
And they ruined that part of the book is one of the best parts of the book.
I know.
And they fucked it up with a song that doesn't fit.
It's so bad. I will stay mad about the song Suddenly.
I must have suppressed the memories of. I was probably too busy being frustrated by what's-his-face's Eddie Redmayne's jaw moving every time he sang, and Amanda Seyfried's vibrato.
Dude, that is so annoying.
Like I'm sitting there looking at for Eddie Redmayne, it was just like I'm like, sir, that is terrible technique.
Okay, but is it not impressive that they did it live?
It is, but I feel bad because I'm like, this is why we don't do them live. I think Russell Crowe kind of like outshone everything else that irritated me about the movie. Like I
felt like Russell Crowe's delivery.
I didn't hate it either.
The thing is, like yeah, and in general, I'm not one of those musical theater people who's like, if you don't sing every note right, I don't want to see you in a movie. I actually prefer people who are strong actors and like medium to good singers. But yeah, anyway, this is not about that movie.
Well, here's the thing that frustrates me is a lot of the time you will have people who are stronger singers that are like they're younger in the musical theater thing, and they don't cast them because they want the big name.
Yeah.
But they would be they would be both very strong singing and acting, and it's just like, could you like do Hugh Jackman because he's a professional, a theater professional, and like do Russell Crowe because he is perfect for the character, and then
he made it sexy. Yes,
good. Oh, that I just felt like he was very like that's exactly how I expected Javert to be.
You know nothing of Javert except they whitewashed him.
You know nothing of Javert.
I feel like
you're right. I don't, but you could teach me.
I need to point out that Christine thinks that Ultron is sexy, so we should take her opinions when it comes to someone's attractiveness.
Javert threw himself off the bridge on my birthday.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait, I just to that point though, really quickly, I saw a production of Les Mis, like the 25th anniversary production with Lea Salonga, who sings for Mulan. Right, but when she sings, she's a perfect singer. But when she sings, I Dreamed a Dream, she's smiling the whole fucking time. I'm like, okay, you're a perfect singer, but this is a really upsetting song, so stop smiling.
And I think they miscommunicated about how much it was supposed to be a concert versus like in character, because it was weird.
I think she was like living the dream up there. Okay, anyways. Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself now that we have talked about every single one of Victor Hugo's works? We haven't talked about too.
All right, so I'm Lauren. I am librarian 343, pretty much everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, because I am sort of a librarian, not anymore by job, but, you know, because life. But anyway, I'm here. My boyfriend is the Les Mis aficionado, so I feel like I should have, like, pulled him in as my second here.
Like a duel.
Yes. But yeah, that's me.
Clearly, Javert was the inspiration for one of the most influential Batman baddies of the 20th century, just to point that out. Like literally, these are lines in his comics. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
We'll probably talk about Hunchback a lot more, but I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of Victor Hugo references.
I could pull up and read my favorite Victor Hugo poem if anyone's interested. Just in case we run out of time.
Christine, I will remind you that you, me, and Bree do need to read 400 pages by 11 p.m. our local time. So
11:30.
Are you using your rules?
I use Black Widow.
Anyways, not all of us could.
So I got till midnight.
Let's go ahead. I like to start out with like, what is people's experience with this movie? I'll start. It's like my third or fourth time watching it. I actually wasn't allowed to watch until I was like 16, and this is one of those. I'm like, yeah, maybe my mom was right to not let me watch this as a 9-year-old.
Threat of rape every other scene? Yes. Good choice,
Mom. I don't think I would have picked up on that, but there's a like people think that Lion King is dark and bad and traumatic, and like Disney was like, well, people really liked how dark Lion King was, so let's go darker. I mean, like they definitely were not like holding back on the super creepy men in this era, because we've got Frollo, we've got Jafar, we have
in this era
Gaston in this era of Disney. So like, anyways, what is everyone else's like? Is this I think some of us, this might have been our first time.
So I watched it kind of the first time I really sat down and watched it was today, but when I tried before, it was after I had like read all the Victor Hugo stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna put this on, and then I learned that the goblins,
the gargoyles,
they were named Victor and Hugo, and I turned the movie right off. I was like, fuck you, and turned it off. And I was like, no, not one of history's only good men. There's like 4 of them, and you did that. Fuck you.
So what you're saying is if they had chosen different names for the
No,
goblins.
if they had removed the disgusting goblins from the movie, I would be
And
fine.
the gargoyles. Okay.
Or made them scary monsters. That'd be fun.
You
weird.
could deal with that with the rest of the inaccuracies if it had not been for the gargoyles.
Yeah, because I understand that they have to adapt it to be a children's movie, which, by the way, bonkers choice of a book to adapt.
I know. I'm like, why would you just pick something else instead of putting gargoyles?
There is so much material.
Oh,
I mean, I do need to point out that the man who composed, I believe it's the score, because I think Alan Menken did the lyrics. But the man who composed also is the man who brought Wicked to the stage. So it tracks. And he also did Pocahontas.
Also something that should have never been a children's movie. So
I mean, that one should just have not been made the way that it was made. They should have, like, if they were going to make it, they should have listened to the people who told them how they should do them, like how they should.
Or just like the actual story where she was 3 and he was a grown man. But like, whatever. Same with this. Like, why the fuck did they do this? It was a bad choice, but I understand them not, having her raped and killed. So
yeah,
that's great. I'm glad that didn't happen on screen.
I think we'll get into themes later, but there are some things that I like about the fact that they did make this into a children's movie because I think it's very, like, it definitely shaped me and is part of why I am the person I am as a Christian. So, like, not in a huge way, but it definitely was a nudge and reinforced certain things.
We're going to have a conversation about the moral message of this film then.
Oh, I mean, I know that it's not quite right. Compared to the book. Anybody else?
Yeah, so I have seen this one a few times. It was also never one of the ones I watched most as a kid. Probably because it, as we've been saying, it is extremely dark. But I love the music.
It opens with murder.
What?
It opens with murder.
Yes. I think judging by this discussion so far, I probably liked it more than most of us. I appreciate some of what it does. There's definitely things that it doesn't do very well, which I know we'll get into, but I'm actually impressed with the things that Disney did not shy away from. I also think it's interesting that, like, everybody who I've ever talked to about this movie, we all thought watching it as a kid that Frollo was involved in the church. So it's kind of funny they changed that because, like, literally no one noticed that they changed that.
I just assumed he was also a.
So I think the commentary,
at least it did.
So I think the commentary actually, like, works even more than they intended it to. But yeah, I do enjoy the movie. I also have not read the book, so I didn't have that to compare it to. I did, however, see the stage musical, which is incredible. It is even more depressing than the Disney movie. Not quite as depressing as the novel.
No wonder it didn't make it to. I was gonna say no wonder it didn't make it to Broadway, but there's way more depressing stuff than Hunchback that's been on Broadway.
I know, but I knew that they weren't going to make it to Broadway probably because I'm like, I don't see how you're going to fit this into your current stage brand. I mean, they did Aida, but at the moment, they're not really going that direction. But anyway, so I did really love the musical, and I do like the movie. But yeah, definitely some things that it did not handle very well.
Okay.
Gargoyles.
Yeah, the gargoyles are a weird choice.
We'll get into the gargoyles and their worst contribution to the movie in a little bit.
Every scene they're in is their worst contribution to the movie?
I mean, there are some that are a little bit more purity culture-y, rape culture-y scenes, songs.
But they're literally the gargoyles' whole purpose. They're like, hey, Quasimodo, go fuck that girl. The whole movie. That's their only message. Like, go get some pussy, Quasi. I'm like, I'm just sitting here like, you're
oh my god. Aida is iconic.
It's really good. I know. It's a weird choice for Disney, but I love the music.
Weird choice, but so freaking good. I can't remember who the composer and the who wrote the book on it. I'd have to go check.
Me.
But so good. Anyways, I regret not. Like, there was no way my mom was going to let me go see it, but I regret not going to see it when it came to Tampa. So, all right. Anybody else? Experience with the movie? First time? Second time?
Come on,
watch
Bree.
it tonight? Okay. Drive myself to sleep to it?
Okay, so this movie for me personally, like, when I was younger, it wasn't like, it was good. It was a good movie, but it wasn't like as, powerful to me as when I started getting in my older, childhood years, if that makes sense, then it started to really resonate with me personally because of Quasi, his experiences with gaslighting, with wanting to go and live, and seeing positivity and like being such an optimistic person, even despite his circumstances. And, those kinds of things really resonated a lot with me personally. Also, just in general, the concept of, like the entirety of Esmeralda's, message, that, supporting and helping those that are, outcast, and that, just because you're not, fortunate doesn't mean you're not more fortunate than other people, and you can still help other people. And that part of it as well really resonated a lot with me. So I think those are some of the things that really like made it sit with my heart a little bit and made it a little special for me. As well as the music. As a musician,
It's very
both instrumental musician and vocalist, it's like you can't top music that you cannot top music that touches you in your soul and gives you the chills, even if you weren't hearing the lyrics.
They took music and made it Broadway. Like
I was gonna say, it sounded like an actual stage musical compared to just a movie musical where there's music. Like I feel like movies like The Lion King or like there's like a musical number, but this was just like more like Les Mis, where the whole thing,
like the orchestration gives me goosebumps. Like the opening of the movie is just. Yeah.
Those are some of the reasons why it like resonates with me a lot. And like it's not necessarily so much about like that it's, historical, set in Paris. Those are cool things, but it's not 100% accurate in those departments. So that's not really what, so the faults I can ignore for the emotion, the emotional impact. And I feel like I'm that way with a lot of things. Like if the emotional impact is there, then I can like kind of, ignore some of the faults a little bit more and like, let it be a favorite thing just because, you know what I mean?
All right. Any other thoughts? Anyone else want to share their experience with it? Who has watched this before? Just show of hands. Like fully through. Okay. Yeah, Bree's like, yes, I have. So. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next? I'd like to give, if you don't have anything to say, that's fine. But I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say something if they have thoughts. Okay, so like, what did we obviously have gotten a little bit into what we thought about the movie as a whole in this. What did we think of the movie, like some of the themes the movie tried to tackle? I know one that really resonates with both me and Bree, and I don't know, maybe Kara as well, is just the absolute critique that it is of organized religion, of how it shows that like there is a huge difference between people who say they are religious and people who actually practice religion.
Yeah.
But it did a bad job of that. But it didn't actually do that.
I mean, I think for the 90s, it actually did a pretty good, like a pretty cool job.
Let's rewind the tape for a bit to the scene where Esmeralda is in the church being like, God, are you listening? And they're all like, I ask for money. I ask for wealth. I ask for this and that. She's like, I ask for nothing, just that others will be okay. And is that not like a white moral, like it's telling the viewer that the right way to live and to want things is to want nothing for yourself, accepting your like place in your class in society, and just committing to charity and helping others, which is a complete Catholic structured argument and is a complete, and like that, it's completely telling you to accept the status quo. It's saying violence against others is not okay, which I agree with, and like persecution of people based on their like race or heritage or disfigurement. Like that's not okay. But it's completely telling you to accept the status quo and accept your place in society and not want for anything more for yourself.
Okay, interesting, because that's definitely not, I know that's not how I read it.
You literally if you took the script of the movie and sat down with it, that is what it's telling you.
I also think Esmeralda's character arc, like the other things that she does in the plot, though, kind of contradict that. Like, she's a very active person. I mean, she does have to get rescued by Quasimodo at one point, but I definitely, I don't know, I read her as a more active character than that, I guess.
But that's why I think the movie confuses itself, because it wants to give you like a cool badass character, and like they hired the right person for that, right? Like Demi Moore, like that's of course the voice out. Like everyone thought Demi Moore was a badass at that time because of like G.I. Jane and shit. But like the message confuses itself with how it's presented. I mean, like
I think what it's saying that is more that it's not. I don't think the intention was for it to come across that way. I think it was more saying that she wasn't seeking material things for herself or power for herself. She just wanted peace for her people and like an enjoyable, life and a lifestyle. I don't think it was, an intentional thing to try to force that kind of thing.
I don't think it was intentional either. I just think that's what happens when white people write inspiring stories about people of other cultures overcoming oppression.
Yeah.
I mean, she does end up with a love interest, which I feel like is more of a, like, not self-centered in a bad way, but that is like a personal thing. That, like a personal part of her life that she wants. Yeah. But yeah, like I can see that. I remember even when I was younger watching the movie and being like, really, Esmeralda, you don't want anything? Like, you're in pretty bad shape the way you're being treated right now. But
justice for the Romani, like,
yeah, which is what she's asking for. But I think like we're meant to see her as a very compassionate character, and I think there were ways they could have done that in a less like self-effacing way. Yeah. But my general impression of her, I think, is bolstered by the other things that she does in the movie.
I definitely think that like she's trying to, so I read that as like, that's really the true, if you sit down and you read the Bible or the New Testament, at least, that's the true, like what the true goal for Christians should be, is to make sure that everyone is taken care of. And then she's being contrasted to all these people. They're like, well, I want all of these things that do not matter. And then contrasted to Frollo, who is taking his power and absolutely abusing it. So.
And I understand, like, obviously that's not a principle that like I specifically agree with because I'm not Christian, but like the idea that like the idea that in a society where she's part of a persecuted class, that for just by existing, she's considered like dirty and undesirable and not allowed in the cities and stuff, that she shouldn't want for anything, that she shouldn't want power. Like her whole group of people, I don't know what like her unit, I don't know what they're called. They get all their possessions destroyed. They're homeless, they're jailed and everything so that she could what? Like what did she accomplish? She had a good talk with God? like I think it's a very structured moral it's a very normative moral messaging, and I do think that it's criticizing the Catholic Church, which is really specific. It's criticizing Catholicism. It's Protestants criticizing Catholicism.
Yeah,
because it's not Victor Hugo, right? Like Victor Hugo grew up Catholic, and his attack on the Catholic Church was a lot more direct and a lot more like
nuanced.
They rape everybody, but like this is American Protestants who are definitely not European. A number of the things you can say, there was just no European consultation on this film. Going after the Catholic Church for being like, wow, they're so bougie, idiots. And being like, well, it's still telling people who are persecuted not to meaningfully want power.
See, I'm looking at Frollo and thinking of like Matt Gaetz and like Lindsey Graham and people like that when we're sitting there juxtaposing that against people who say they're Christian and then are actively working to harm people. So
Yeah. And I think too, it's partially like in my mind, that never would have occurred to me because of the fact that like I'm a very one-track mind person. So it's like if I have something specific that I'm focused on and that I want to accomplish or like take care of or to get done with, then like I very much struggle with focusing or thinking about other things. So it's like, I don't know, for me, like I'm thinking if I were her, that like my concern about that would be so like focused that it's like I don't care about anything else except this one thing right now because I want to get this thing fixed first. And then if this gets fixed, then maybe I'll worry about, So it's like that's part of my, how I like consume it. But I understand again that like because that's, everybody.
There's definitely an argument for the fact that like they didn't think about like in that scene at least that like she might want like they could have done that better, I guess is what I'm
saying. And I just, if you're a racialized kid in the States watching that, let's say you're like a black kid in the States watching that movie and taking the message about oppression and persecution, the message is just don't beat us up and kill us. We don't need equality. We can't ask for anything. Just don't fucking kill us. Which is like not what, I mean, that's what Americans, I guess.
I mean, that is contrasted against her, like, standing up to Frollo in the squares. So, like, I think you have to take the movie as a whole with a lot of
it. That's why I think it confuses its message, because it does have good scenes.
Yeah.
I always took the scene with Esmeralda that we're talking about, I always kind of interpreted that more as, like, she's asking for her people to be safe rather than just her. So not so much, like, she wants the bare minimum, but like her being physically safe would not be enough. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, but that also like that's an interpretation thing because I could be interpreting that wrong,
Well, I mean, I think it's art, right? Everyone's interpretation is valid of it.
Right.
Yeah. I think like children's media is meant to like first entertain and second like set values and like moral message. And like there is messaging in there. There is a moral that it's trying to teach, and I think that it's not a good one, but it hides itself behind disability awareness, kind of, and anti-rape culture, kind of, but also making Quasimodo a bit of an incel. And
we were actually about to So speaking of Esmeralda and love stories, and how do we feel about like the two different love interests that kind of are represented to her? Sort of, because one she is very clearly interested in, and the other one is all like in his mind and fantasy. Like I was okay when it was just him being like, "Oh, she's so pretty," and like, he liked her. And I understand a lot of the messaging in that particular song did need to be contradicted. I just wish we'd contradicted it a different way. But then we have that whole song that's like, oh yeah, she's gonna be in love with you, like deciding how she feels during the entire song. I'm like,
and like, here's the thing: the song itself, outside of context, kind of cute. In the context, it's so like
if we hadn't had Frollo, it might have been okay. But we've already got one person that's like real gross.
I just wish that it had been platonic. Solely platonic instead, because that would have allowed for a lot more focus on some of these other things that weren't done quite as well as they could have. Like the disability and like the what Christine was talking about, like those kinds of things could have been more refined if you weren't spending screen time on.
I agree.
A love triangle that didn't need to exist.
And I didn't like that he had to make the choice, but he was like, why should I bother helping her if she's in love with somebody else? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, at least make that about, like, I need to watch out for myself.
Like that.
Right, like, that didn't need to be a journey that he had to go through.
That ain't love, bro.
Yeah.
Because let's say he's raised, I know, like, obviously Frollo, and I do think that the gaslighting Frollo did was, like, super well written. But he was also partially raised by that nice priest dude. And I would like to think that nice priest dude, based on what we have seen evidenced of him in the beginning, would be like, no, we should help anyone, even if they're not going to fuck us. Like, that should be like, that shouldn't have been a question in his mind if he literally grew up in a church, which I'm pretty sure, I mean, again, not religious, but I'm pretty sure Jesus was like, only help thy neighbor if they give you a blowjob later. I'm pretty sure that's not there. So like,
I mean, there are some questionable verses about feet, apparently.
One thing,
not at all.
I'm sorry.
One thing that like also I think about with like the romantic angle of the movie is I think it's interesting, like not like I obviously Esmeralda is like it's her choice, obviously, but I think it's interesting that this is the only Disney movie I can think of where the main character does not end up romantically happy at the end, and it's also the only one, unless I'm misremembering, I think it's the only one that has a disabled main character. So
I think you might be correct about that one.
I think that's kind of a weird
thing. That's a choice.
And the way it's framed at the end is like it's a sad ending because we're following Quasimodo as like the main character. But it's like I feel bad for him, but I'm also like, why are you framing this as like, how could Esmeralda do this to him? It's like, it's her choice. Like, leave her alone. Yeah.
Do you is there any context you can kind of provide from the books as to like whether he was actually raised by the church or in the church?
So the problem is that in the book, like Frollo is the priest, right? Okay. So like definitely a different situation. And like he is in love with Esmeralda in the books. Like it's the same, but he also like they also both end up dead together. So there's no like it's a sad ending for sure.
Yeah.
Like, Quasimodo's ending and this is much nicer. But I was just thinking that specifically the priest in this movie was like pretty woke. For the 15th century,
right?
Holy shit!
I mean, like if you look at a lot of, so it's frustrating because a lot of what we know and what we hear of are the people higher up, and like people who were like bishops, cardinals, all of that stuff in the Catholic Church. This mostly is coming from my knowledge of England and like some of that era and what France was going on in France. Like they were 100% in it so they could have power, and they did not follow any of the things they followed. But you would have people who were like monks and nuns and people who were very much about, okay, I'm actually going to be doing the things.
The ones that could actually read? No kidding.
Like they were actually living out the things of like taking care of the poor. And like, was it effective in that time period? No, but there were a lot of ineffective things in that time period.
That's what I'm saying. It was just like, I think for me to that point, like okay, so Frollo was there shitting on his like confidence and his sense of he really shitting on his identity and his whole self-embodiment a lot. But that priest guy was like pretty into like helping people, and I'm imagining they like reside in the same building. So you think that, you know,
at some point.
Especially because he's been raised to believe that no one would ever love him anyways, that he would be like, well, I can still help them because, but again, this movie has no idea what message it's trying to send. So actually the confusion is to be expected. Why not throw in incel vibes?
I mean, Quasimodo. So I like Quasimodo as a character. His main song, like,
very good.
For anyone that has a chronic illness, I can't speak for anyone who has a disability, but anyone who has a chronic illness, you're gonna feel that, because there are days when you're just like, I literally, at least in my place, I literally would do anything to not have to deal with this today. Like I have had, like, especially when I was younger and when I discovered this movie, I had those days. But like some of the word choices, like they were trying to be woke and have good disability rep, but like, God, you could tell it was the 90s and no one was aware. With some of like, they call him boy, they call him creature.
The book also has terrible disability rep. I'm gonna be real harsh on my dude.
That was the 1830s, so
Victor Hugo should not have written about the Romani people, and he should have done a much better job representing Quasimodo as like. Yeah. But
I mean, we're just barely getting out of the era where people thought that if you had a disability, there was something morally wrong with you or your parents.
Also, I would like to point out that in the book, Esmeralda is white.
I was thinking
adopted into a Romani tribe, but she is white.
Well, that's an interesting
love interest because she's white, whereas Javert is actually Romani in the book.
Oh my God. Well, that's an interesting choice on Hugo's part. Okay. He was a
He's not in my top 2 men in history.
Obviously.
Yeah. That honor befalls to Patrice Lumumba.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts on the movie? And like, were there any things that we noticed in the movie that kind of matched up with the books at all? I'm trying to I had some in my mind and now I can't remember them.
The description of the church? Because I remember you said it in the chat earlier that the church is like its own character. And
oh my God. The way they used, like, it was like you were watching an actual, like, there were shots. I'm like, an actual cinematographer would have done that in a real life movie.
Yeah, the art was incredible. I didn't love the animation of the gargoyles. I thought they were really hideous, like really, really hideous, and like a bad portrayal of what a gargoyle.
I definitely think there have been, so you know how Disney, they have the pieces that are animated and then the background is obviously like something that they have painted. The difference between the backgrounds, there are Disney movies that like they definitely fit, the actual animation style has fit better into the background. That was the one thing.
There's even a scene where they're like walking through just like a Parisian street and the cobblestones go like this. Instead of, like, it'd be very easy to just have a flat cobbled road, right? But the idea of like a caving in crevice, like cobbled street, that's so fucking accurate, right? Like European streets like that are like, because they're so old and they're like a million horses have cobbled over them and like tanks have rolled over them. So just like the fact that it was
my neighborhood has brick roads, like actual laid brick roads, and none of them are even in any way, shape, or form.
And I don't think I can think of another Disney movie where that much attention was like put on just like the fucking road, where it was like, and I was like, oh, that's actually Europe. So I feel like whoever did, I want to say the set design, but I don't know words for animation, but like it felt
it's set design.
Yeah, but like so cool.
Anne-Marie had a really good point of like there is a joint theme and like we have the characters, or we have two characters. We have Quasimodo and then a character in the book that are both, they've been raised inside the institution, but they are in their own ways rebelling against it through the course of their story. Obviously, it's going to be very different for the book. But we can't get into that without getting into spoilers.
But would you consider that a rebellion against, because the institution in question here is the Catholic Church, right? I don't think at any point in the movie they rebel against the Catholic Church.
No, they don't. I think it's more rebellion against, like, I'm thinking about it in the sense of like Frollo and what he stands for in the movie.
But we never explore the actual French regime. He's the only representative of the nobility that we get.
Is he nobility?
Which is interesting.
Yeah. For sure.
For sure, if he's a judge,
someone off the streets and be like, "You're a judge now." Oh no! Oh, this is France. We keep everybody very segregated by class. Oh,
okay. Anne-Marie is talking about.
That's a good point. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
He does.
See, I forget sometimes that Phoebus, as much as I love him and think that
I forgot about him.
Phoebus said ACAB.
I do forget about him.
He was like, ACAB, I'm out. And I did like that. I appreciated that. Also, his joke about the kid, when the goat runs out, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you had a kid." That actually had me fucking laughing out loud. I was like, "That's pretty good."
That whole scene is life.
Really well done. Yeah.
I'm just like, the man knows how to flirt, and he knows how to do it respectfully in a way that's going to have you interested, and it's kind of sexy, but it's not going too far.
And I like that he was kind of ugly.
Yeah, that was
as far as Disney princess go, he wasn't good looking.
Prince Charming.
He was no Aladdin.
He was shiny, but he definitely did look like a medieval European. I was like,
yes. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's transition into the book. I know we've all at least read this at some point. Those of us that did get a chance to reread it, like, tell me a little bit about what your experience was the first time or this time. And then like, if you've read it before, what was your experience the first time? And this time, if this is your first time reading it, talk to me about what you thought about it and what your star rating was. I will voluntold someone if no one raises.
I'm just gonna grab my reading journal.
Oh, okay, Christine. I guess I'll just go. So I enjoyed this as much the first time or the second time as I did the first time. I think there were things that the first time I read it, I was like, I don't know that this would fly with everyone. I'm not sure that this was really well done. Like this seems very sudden. And then reading it, I'm like, oh, that's right. Because I didn't figure out the songs until like 3/4 of the way through the book. When we get to the end. So I'm like, oh yeah, this actually is really, yeah. So it got 4 stars both times for me. I really like this book. It makes me happy. And it has a character that's like me in it. So I enjoy that part.
Somebody else other than me talk.
I don't give star ratings because I don't know how to. So
I just kind of like follow my heart on those.
I started out giving star ratings, but I just gave everything 5 stars. So what's the point, you know? So I stopped giving star ratings. So you won't get a star rating from me because okay.
Valid.
But yeah, I really liked the book. When I read it, I've only read it once. But when I read it, I really enjoyed so I don't preface this with I don't read a lot of MF romances. That's just not something I do. So to find one that was actually good and I was vibing with it, top tier, good.
I agree.
And so
when it doesn't feel straight.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like
one of them is not.
I know.
Well, and I think
they're all queer.
Morris actually, it's strongly implied or outright said that Morris is also demisexual. So really.
No, he
is, and then
she literally says it right after it's very similar to how I feel.
Yeah, so I mean, both of them are not straight, right?
Yeah. We love it when it's straight presenting, but they're actually cool.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's really all I got.
Okay, I'm sitting there trying to figure out what Christine's last comment in the chat was. I understand now. I caught up.
Yeah, I was like, because I said so many things, and she was like, "We're gonna have to agree to disagree," and I was like, "I hope this isn't about ACAB, Anne Marie. I know you in real life." And then, then she's like, "He's hot," and I was like, "Okay, cool, fine. We can disagree on that."
Not unpleasant. So, I wouldn't say no to him in a bar.
He's just that. Like Phoebus or Prince Eric.
God damn, Prince Eric, of course.
Phoebus or Shang.
Really? Shang.
I
have never been a Prince Eric fan.
Will choose Shang. He's that beautiful.
Shang is like a god, and then Phoebus is like a medieval European. You know?
Most attractive Disney men, it's like Aladdin and Shang are tied for top.
I'm gonna have to disagree on Aladdin. He looks like he's 5 years old.
Me too.
He's a boy. Shang is a man, and he made a man of all of us.
It's not even that. Even when I was the same age, I just was never that into Aladdin.
He's pretty, but I have my specific weakness is dark-haired boys. So
I do.
I think we're all missing the most attractive male in the Disney universe,
and that would be
Kovu.
Oh man!
From The Lion King 2.
Oh man!
I unfortunately don't.
I'm gonna have to disagree there. I'm gonna have to disagree. There's probably a robot in there somewhere though that I would agree with. I would vouch for a robot.
Okay, let's.
Ultron is a
back to the book.
Okay,
Shang is the hottest in Disney that is human. That is a given.
I hate that you qualified that, Margaret. I hate it. Okay, back to the book. So
yeah, back to the book.
This was my first time reading it, and I mentioned at the beginning that I'm glad I finally read it because I started this ages ago, and I just was not getting on with the writing, and I don't know why. It's not badly written. It's not clunky. I like have known nobody else to have this problem, so feel free to ignore everything I say about the writing. Oh, you too, Christine? Okay, that makes me feel a little better. I don't know why. It was just like really hard. Like it did not mix with my brain, but I did
I think the way the names are said in Morris's point of view, because you have M0R1 is and
I hated that. I had to stop the audiobook because it was driving me up the wall. Like I could not listen to
that, or you can't.
I could not.
So yeah.
So I read it physically for like the vast majority. But I did like it. I think I was expecting to like the romance more than I did, just because like so many of the tropes are things I enjoy. But I did still like the romance, and I loved both main characters separately. And I did really like their romance together. It was very cute. It just wasn't that like heart palpitation cute, for me. But like one of the things that just really I think took this book over the top for me was like the themes and like what it says about stories, which is so my jam. Because I ended up giving it 4 stars. Like some parts of it read more like 3 or 3.5 to me, but like the themes, man, like they were just so good. So I really liked that. And I also very much enjoyed the use of quotations. And I think that Alicia Dow and I have very similar tastes in bookish quotes, because there were so many where I'm like, yes. And I mentioned, like, I think this has to be, like, the most perfectly deployed Hamlet quotation I've ever seen in my life. That was just, that was, like, chef's kiss. That was really good. So, yeah. I want to say, I think it's really cool that both characters were demisexual, because then we didn't have the plot arc of one of them having to, like, come to terms with it, Like, I just like that we don't see that a lot. So I thought that was cool.
And it was really, it was like a really simple, easy, like there wasn't any need to qualify it. Like there's a lot of stuff that she does in here when it comes to sexuality and gender. Like the fact that like they, them pronouns are just used for everyone that Morris does not know the gender of. Like they have not identified their gender to him. He's thinking of them as using they, them, their.
And then he asks them.
I do think the book was a little long for me though. Like there were some sections where I'm like, we could have sped this up. And I think that's one of the things that if the writing hadn't been hard for me, I wouldn't have noticed. That was one of the only things that like I didn't so much like, but overall, I think it was a really strong book. And it's like, I have to say though, every time I heard people talking about this book, it was about how like cute it was and like hopeful, and those things are true. But this book is like really dark in some places, and I think it's partly because of like the time I was reading this at, like given the world, But some of it was so like frighteningly realistic, and like it's not. Like when people talked about that in reviews, it's like they did mention it. I'm not saying I was like misled, but I guess I just thought that the cute stuff was emphasized more. And then I'm reading this and I'm like, this is a lot. I think I need some.
There definitely was some darker stuff that I forgot. But also this
real anxiety, by the way, like real anxiety.
this book, I first read it right in June of 2020. So, like, if you think about everything that was going on, like, it was just the perfect book for me at that time. So, yeah. Anne-Marie agrees with you about...
Here's my thought about the pacing and all the writing issues. So I agree with almost, like, everything you said, because I gave it 4 stars, even though sometimes I was like, maybe I shouldn't. But I love the characters. I really love the thing about space tourism blew my mind and like had me fully thinking about ethical tourism a lot. I really liked all of that. Also, that's totally not what I thought. I thought they were gonna be like, yes, we're selling humans as meat or something, and then they were like, yeah, we're gonna use them for tours, and I was like, fuck, that's funny, but also scary as shit. It's scary as shit. But like, I just thought, I was like, shout out to Alicia Dow for like making me laugh here and like being creative and thinking about that.
Yeah, she did a really good job of balancing.
That's unique, right? That's unique. But I think, is this a debut novel?
This is a debut novel. You can tell.
So what I think is that, first of all, it suffered from the thing that a lot of, I think, debut YA suffers from, and that's the we're moving everywhere all the time plot. Like we're just getting from place to place to place, and you're never spent, like the pacing feels weird because they're just always moving. I think that like I agree with you there. I think there are places where maybe like
we should have maybe spent a little more time in some of the moments.
And we're just like thrown into like settlements
instead
and
of spending equal amounts of time with other stuff.
And it was the kind of thing where, like, I'm not saying this is an unrealistic obstacle, but I'm getting a little tired of them getting captured like every I don't know, every 100 pages.
It feels formulaic when they keep
because it felt repetitive. I'm like, I think we could have accomplished this with like one capture
one
scene,
time,
you know.
And there are definitely like, so one of the things I noticed is there definitely are places where I would have been like, this could have been a summary paragraph instead of an entire dialogue exchange, Alicia.
Yes, yeah. It's funny because I never like notice pacing problems. Like I never have issues with pacing. I just care about being engaged. But like, I guess the combination of the writing and the length of this one made me notice pacing. Like, because normally I care less than zero about pacing. If that's possible.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think is that it suffered the here's the thing. I love multiple perspectives. I usually hate being stuck with one person the whole time. I'm like, I don't like you because I spent so much time with you. But I think that this one actually suffered maybe a little bit for it. I think it might have been a little bit better if we didn't know how sweet Morris was the whole time. Because the whole time he was like, you're just a baby and we love you. And there was no tension for me sometimes.
I disagree because I don't think that especially in the time that this was released, I don't think the specific like dynamic. Like I went into this because they're talking about an alien that's enslaving humans and this girl, and I'm like, the only reason I picked it up is because I knew it was right by a Black woman and she would do it well. It wasn't going to be some like Nazi and Jew fetish shit.
No, I know. What I'm saying is it broke tension sometimes because there would be things that would surprise her that I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a good like, can I trust him? And I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, we know you can. But I actually liked knowing that Morris was a good guy the whole time because that was one thing in this whole book that did not stress me because there's a lot of other stressful parts. But yeah, I can see that about the tension. It was like
the Hunger Games with PETA where you don't really know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
You're like, why are you working with them? What the fuck? And then there's a bit of mystery there.
I think Ellie's like reluctance, her understandable reluctance to trust him, like gave me enough. Like it felt believable. So even though I'm like, I know Morris is great and that he's actually not doing these bad things, but I understand why you don't yet.
Yeah, I felt like the stakes felt a bit lower for her in that sense because like you have to make a decision and I already knew that it wasn't going to be the wrong decision.
I was frustrated at that part where she was like, oh no, he's acting like he doesn't like me anymore. I'm like, because you have been kidnapped. Like
exactly, but if we didn't know his perspective, that would have been scarier. We've been like, oh,
I don't want it to be scarier at that point.
okay, maybe I did. Maybe I was like, he's playing ya. This is a sweet baby boy, and there's no chance he's been bad this whole time. Whereas if it was just her perspective, I'd be like, oh no.
Okay, we'll get into that in a like we can circle back to that because I think that it was important to the narrative that we saw his point of view. But I do want to get everyone else's initial thoughts. Also, Mitchell is pointing out something that that Hunchback and the book also shares. There is a random gruesome murder, like right at the get-go. So let's see. We've heard from Kara, Christine, Xander, Lauren, and Bree. Have we heard from you yet about your initial thoughts? How you felt about the book as a whole? Sam liked it, apparently.
Oh, that was Teddy.
Oh, Teddy liked it.
Yeah.
I only remember Sam's name.
Well, Sam was sitting quietly and staring at me.
Oh, okay.
Food. Teddy was, I thought, asleep in there, but apparently not. You know.
So, anyways, have you guys read this? Is this your first time, each of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. What did y'all think?
Lauren, you go.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I think I'm still teetering between 3 and 4 star. I think for me personally, like the intrigue and like I enjoyed reading it, but a lot of what you guys were saying about the writing just wasn't there for me. Like I was waiting for something like the other shoe to drop. Like I pictured Morris as like, I don't know if any of you watched Buffy, but the Vampire Slayer, but there was this character Riley, and he was like this perfect dude the whole time. I Morris as Riley the whole time, so I was waiting for him to just like wrong me through this book, and then it didn't happen, and I was kind of disappointed. Like, you know, wanted something, but like it's a really good book, and I would recommend it to people, and I like what it was like trying to do. It's not like the best thing I've ever read, but I'll definitely more that Alicia writes.
Yeah.
I'm relieved that other people had an issue with the writing, or not even an issue, but like had difficulty with it. Cause like I had not seen any reviews where people mentioned that. I'm like, am I just dumb? Like, I
listened to it as an audiobook, so I think a lot of those issues I didn't notice because I was listening to it. But reading it the second time, now that I'm not sitting there, oh my God, what happens next?
Yeah, I actually found some sections of it like really confusing because of the writing, because I think it was a combination of just this author's particular style not mixing with my brain, which has happened a couple times. It's like rare, but every once in a while there's an author that I just, for whatever reason, isn't like instinctive for me to read. So I think it was partly that, but it was also like there was a specific way that she would reveal information throughout the story that like confused me. Like, I don't know, there were parts where I'm like, I can't tell if this is a big dramatic reveal or if we found this out 3 chapters ago, because I'm like so confused about how she would transition between sentences or paragraphs. But I think that was exacerbated by the writing, so it's like I don't think like it sounded like I'm saying the writing was bad, and it wasn't bad. I think it just like
but
didn't,
it wasn't just
hiccups.
Vibe with me. I guess
the actual writing craft wasn't like the best I've ever read, though. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas like the characterization was fucking wonderful.
It was good. I loved both of them. Yeah. That was one of the things I'm like, even though Morris's like feelings for Ellie are kind of like, they get intense pretty quick, I'm like, I also love Ellie, so this is fine. Like, like she's great.
I mean, like, can anybody blame him?
No one can. Okay.
Well, and like on both of their sides, I'm like, I love both of you separately so much. I'm like, this is moving kind of fast, and I understand. Like, this is also
this is the world.
What's that?
It's the end of the world.
I know, and I was gonna say this is one of the only pieces of media that has ever sold me on the like, well, the world is ending, so I guess I have more feelings than usual. Like, I usually find that very frustrating because people tend to act on them when like things are about to explode, but this actually felt natural.
Nice. Put a pin in that because I want to go back to that. But Bree, initial thoughts.
So I still have a tiny bit left, actually. This much left.
Okay.
I tried. I miscalculated getting ready for the live show. I thought I had about 100 pages at one point, and I actually had 130 pages, so I miscalculated a little bit. So I took time to do eyeliner that I could have skipped if I had realized.
It comes down to the eyeliner.
That I needed a little bit more time. So I'm gonna finish it right after this is over. But I'm probably gonna rate it either like a 4.5 or somewhere around in there, because maybe a 4, because I see the issues with the writing, but I enjoyed so much of the conversations and the relationships and the characters and even the world itself that it kind of was like I was okay with the errors or the issues because of how much I enjoyed the other elements. Because I feel like a lot of it was just like really well presented. Like the representation was really well presented. It felt like natural. It wasn't like force it down your throat. It wasn't like hiding in the background. It was just like naturally present. And I really enjoyed that, because sometimes they like try to like jam it into your face in a way that doesn't feel like real life. Because like in real life, it
feels performative.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't feel that way. I also to do with the writing, one thing I noticed in the middle, I was sitting there and I wait, when it's in her perspective, it's in first person. And when it's in his perspective, it's in third person.
I didn't notice that until you just said that. I read that entire book.
It's so character for the like. I think that
was such a choice. It was such a bold choice as
I think it makes sense.
Author, but it makes sense for the characters.
Yeah.
And so
No,
I
I
thought it
noticed
was
that.
really
How
an interesting
conceives them himself.
decision because that's like a lot of people would critique that as a
Yeah.
problematic, but the way that it fits the characters so well, it makes sense because of how Morris was raised and everything. It fit, you know, how his mentality would be a little bit different than
and it's
hers.
more detached than hers because hers is
Exactly,
much more
yeah.
personal, much more like she
Yeah.
she definitely was trying to play up that Ellie is human and Morris is not element through that, and that was such an interesting conscious choice.
Yeah. So I
Relatedly,
feel like
I
there was
love
a lot
that.
of potential in her writing in general. for
Listen.
things like that.
No one noticed but Brie.
When an author,
I noticed.
I noticed
Okay.
it. When an author does it, like, so this is my story. When an author does point of view or does a story so well, like I was 50 pages into the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin before I realized that an entire point of view was in second person. And I think up to then I'd never read anything in second person before, but I was so caught up in what the fuck is happening.
Right.
Didn't
Yeah,
even
it wasn't until I was like in the middle that it dawned on me because I was like invested in the characters and the world and figuring out what was going on.
Mhm.
So I feel
I
like she
realized
has a lot of potential
this time
to
around. I
be able
realized
to
it
craft
towards the
like
end.
that. Like she has a lot of potential, and I think that she can really continue to grow in her writing.
I
And
agree.
you know, she can because like I do agree there was some formulaic elements with the we're doing this thing, we're getting somewhere, oh we get captured, oh we're moving a little bit closer to California, oh we get captured, oh you know, so there is some formulaic issues and like some things like that.
It felt like Snake and Ladders.
Yeah, I think that
Oh my gosh.
I think a lot of it comes down to like there was information that you needed in some of those places where they were being captured that like she probably like I can understand her being like I don't know how to get them here any other way than this because like there was definitely like the first time you have Ellie freaking out because like oh my god they're Lori, and then you have a contrast in the next time because they're human and they're all white. Like I thought that was a nice touch, but I do agree that like that could seem very repetitive.
Or could it maybe been done a little bit differently? Like the same idea, but maybe not exactly like almost identical to what had happened previously with when the Allure captured them. Like it felt
Especially
kind of similar.
Sorry, Brie, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. Because like they separated Morris and Ellie.
Yeah.
And one of them was, you know, in like a jail cell and the other was like taken off somewhere else for a while and put through random different things for a minute and then they tried to save each other and blah blah blah, you know. If it hadn't have felt like a mirror of the
mirror image,
if it had maybe been like tweaked a little bit more.
And like I think what's that?
He was just like, look, humans can also be mean, and I was like, no, I get
and like I think some of the like some of the moments that happened there, like when Ellie realizes like when that random woman helps them and like helps them escape, even she's trusting them that they're gonna do something, like try to do something good. Like those are important moments in the story. But yeah, I feel like just those whole sections I think could have been shortened a little bit. Or I also like the way we got to them was sometimes frustrating. I'm like, you're telling me Morris did not check the field like before like Ellie ran off? Like I don't know. It kind of felt like there were a couple places where the author was like, I don't know how to get us here. So if someone makes a dumb mistake, you know, which people do. I mean, to be fair, but
I noticed with YA, and the same thing happened with that book that Alexandra Bracken wrote. Please give me the name of it. It was
Darkest Minds, Passenger.
That's the one. That was the one that became a movie where it's like constant movement, but I feel like they are just driving down the same road the whole time. And I'm like, I don't have, like the beginning of the book, I felt like I had a really good image of what the building looked like what everything felt like. I had a great perspective of her room and everything going on there. And then it felt like we were moving through like a highway void.
Yeah.
That's really
like, what if
funny.
Instead of
I was gonna say that's really funny because there's a scene in The Darkest Mind that kept popping into my head every time they would stop somewhere. I'm like, no, that's not in this book. That's a different book. Because I was expecting them to get ambushed in a Walmart.
Like, but like literally, bro, right? Where it's just like it's and it works better in movies. It works better in movies because like think Zombieland is like the exact same thing. They're just moving the whole fucking time, getting in different situations, but it's a film,
they
so
also
you're like, this is different visually.
Take the time to sit in some of those places. Like I think I think they do a better. That Alexandra does a better job of that in Darkest Minds than Alicia does in this. That she could have had a little more time to like sit in certain places and short in other places, because there were definitely places where like we didn't need all of that. And we could have had more moments with the characters.
This was actually a weird exception for me because I normally hate traveling in books.
Yeah.
It's like one of my least favorite things most of the time. And I actually liked the traveling parts because that's where we got the character stuff. Every time they got captured, I was like, shit, like not again. Because now we're going to be here for like 60 pages while they get out of this situation, which makes sense. Like, it's not going to be easy for them to get out. But like the beginning also felt slow to me, which I think was part of it, that I just like... The part where they were physically moving, I felt like the book was like figuratively moving as well. I actually enjoyed that.
Interesting.
I feel like what if instead of getting captured again, they encountered something like in nature, like animals,
like or like a bridge fell out, and they were like, "How do we get around it?"
Yeah, like that kind of.
Well, I mean, it could have been as simple as like if they had. I mean, I don't know how they would have done it with Ellie, but like he could have just, because he knew something was wrong, so she could have totally done the thing so that he actually is like, I'm going to go to this Ilori compound, and he walks it. Like that would have fucked her up completely.
I felt like this was like kind of a Chekhov's gun moment. I kept waiting for him to run out of batteries.
I know. I was about to say that. I was so irritated. It's like, oh, he's supercharged. Oh, just kidding. He used 80% of it on one thing, and I'm like,
right. And they keep being like, I'm almost out, and I was like,
I know.
Yeah. Okay, are you
like Ellie? I wanted that.
Yeah. Like I almost wish that the time that they were captured by humans, that he had not shut himself down. That he maybe like
got shut down.
Lost
I liked
because
that
of trying to do something to help somebody or something like that. Like, what if he had another interaction with that kid, and then that led to like him trying to do something that he didn't have enough charge to do, and then he lost. Yeah, that would have been
like that's something in She-Ra specifically that's kind of like a plot point in the first season. Is Glimmer has only so much magic, and she like at one point she like fully functionally runs out of magic lots of times. They always say it's gonna happen, and it always happens because she's just a dumb Sagittarius running into situations. And like there's one scene where she fully like teleports them, and they like get stopped in the sky because she runs out of magic, and they all drop. And I was waiting for that with Morris, where like they keep hinting that this is a problem, but then it's never a problem. Whereas with Glimmer, it's always like, holy shit, Glimmer, why did you do that? And like, I don't know, like that's just a situation where that like, I think that like was done better there. Where, and again, more experienced writers there, but like,
yeah, I kind of like
payoff.
I kind of wish that it wasn't. Like, I almost wish she just hadn't made it an issue, because, like, we already had really high stakes.
A lot of
like,
can we
just... Yeah, it's like, can we just not talk about the battery thing? Because it's...
Or it could have been something that we knew about, and, like, but rather than having him at a low charge for so much, like, have him at a... Like it happened... Like, it's an issue, like, once, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I guess part of it is probably because he's such, like, I just... like completely blanked on the name of the aliens. Ilori. They're so powerful that I guess she kind of had to handicap him a little bit, or I don't know.
That is part of it.
That, and like you'd think that maybe they would have figured this out by now if they run out of charge so easily. If he's the extra powerful one.
He's always out of charge. And it was just
so
like,
what are
really...
how are the other ones functioning?
And the thing that irritated me about it too is that like they kept saying something like, oh, well, he needs to sleep. And then he would sleep, and it's like he has 2% now. And I'm like, that didn't help at all. Like,
he's an iPhone.
I was like, he was out for like 12 hours, and he's still on like 3% battery. Like, okay.
But that's also like me as a person where I'll like sleep 12 hours. I'm like, take a fucking nap. Holy shit.
You wake up needing a nap. I totally understand that one.
Morris is supposed to be better than me.
We wanted more from you.
I do want to cover a little bit more than just issues with the writing, because I know there was stuff about it that we liked. So let's circle back around to the kind of idea of the romance and the relationship. We'll start out with the relationship between Ellie and Morris and how that built. And the one thing that I wanted to say is, like, so for me, when you have stories where there is a heightened stress factor, when there are a lot of apocalyptic events happening, when you have a lot of just you're in high stress situations continually, I feel like that leads to finding out things about people that in a normal life would take longer. So that's why sometimes I can buy it in this. One that I ended up not buying it is Rise of the Red Hand. For those of us that read, because there weren't moments where they got to know each other. Whereas in this, there are a lot of moments where Ellie and Morris are sitting there talking about stuff and getting to know each other. So how did y'all feel about the relationship between Ellie and Morris and all of that? And we're gonna eventually wrap this around into representation because this book, anyways, sorry, just know that's where this is going, because we have to, because I said so. Yes, Christine.
Okay. One of the sexiest things you can do in a romance is center. No. But I know that's what you thought, but no, is center it all around consent.
Yes.
And there was so much informed consent in every scene and I was like, this is the hottest trope.
Yes, and even in the situation
May I every time he wanted to even speak to her in her mind.
Right? Or he'd apologize if in an emergency he had to bring it up.
He even was I'm sorry.
Yeah, I loved that.
Give him romantic interest of the year award for fucking
2020.
Being so centered in consent. And to me, that's, I think, one of the most important parts of their relationship. Yeah. I think that and the astemmy representation, they're the two of those things tandem together. I'm just this is a really important couple.
I had this open to the exact quote where she explains demisexual by what she how she defines it, and I am reading that definition and I'm that is exactly the type of demisexual that I am. That moment spoke to me. I just love it. Anyways, continue on that while I try and find this quote, y'all.
The consent in this reminded me of Sarah's Kaz and Inej fan fiction, and so I just which is also hot. So
listen, I don't think that Kaz Brecker would be good on consent with anyone who is not Inej. He's Inej is the only person I care about. So
Inej is the only person that exists.
Yeah, he's I'm not gonna have permission before breaking your bones, though.
That is what this reminded me of, and I also love that every time she was like, "No, I'm not ready to kiss yet." He never got frustrated.
I know.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because it's not about I need sexual things.
No, there was none of that, and I liked that.
Yeah, and he didn't do the thing of well, we might not be alive in 3 weeks or whatever. He didn't.
Brianna has newly been inducted into the Six of Crows fandom as of today. So just congratulate her on that. She's been missing out for the last 3 or 4 years?
Fucking forever.
So anyways, continue on that. What were we talking about before I interrupted?
Morris getting the consent award.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. And I liked the conversations that they had, because they were good first date conversations where you're getting to know the person, and they're talking about books and music. Yeah. Is there a better way to get to know a potential romantic partner?
Can I tell you the part that made me die and made me buy the romance 150% was when he was they were holding hands and he was I'm thinking about the Beatles song, but I shouldn't sing that because people would find that awkward. And she started humming it, and he's oh yeah, and I'm waiting for you to start singing it. And I was they need to be together forever.
Yeah, that literally is
the only monogamy I
believe in. The ability to quote things or sing songs in whenever you so desire. That is relationship goals.
died of secondhand embarrassment every time he started singing. That was the one thing I did not like about the relationship.
There were some things Morris did that or said that were like really sweet, and then there were some where I'm like, oh my god, Morris,
You're so like fucking corny.
Like not like some of it.
They
work
together.
Was cute. I know, and some of it was cute, and some of it was just like I would like to leave, but I need to keep reading this. Like
I found it enjoyably cheesy because it was like he's so excited to share feelings that he doesn't know that it's cliche.
Can I tell you guys something really honestly? Really, this is really vulnerable to my heart. Yesterday, I met an 8-week-old golden retriever puppy named Aggie, short for Agatha, and I looked at this man sitting on the chair in the house we rent together, and I said, "It was Agatha all along," and he's like, "What?" And I said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And he said, "You watched the ending without me." Like, that's an excuse. I'm just saying, Alex, you could take a hint from Morris.
This is not a roasting Alex on Margaret's channel live show. If you want to do that, you've got to do that on your own channel, Christine. We're here to roast you if anyone is going to be roasted in your house. I mean, obviously we can't roast Briar or Cassie, so that only leaves you.
There's nothing you could roast Cassie about. She's the perfect specimen. Everyone on earth is uglier than her.
Okay, so let's see.
Okay.
Lauren, and I know Xander, you mentioned that you really liked the relationship in this one, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I did.
What on the relationship?
That hasn't been said though.
Yeah, I know. Lauren, do you have any thoughts to add about this, specifically about the relationship? Because we're going to move on to a different.
Yeah, I liked the relationship. It was really cute. That's a cute dog. I'm loving
the
dog.
Is that Cassie? I can't see her. Yeah, that's Cassie. That's Cassie. Yeah. Hi, Cassie. Oh, you're going to distract all of us now.
Yeah. Right?
Anyways, continue, Lauren. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So anyway, the part that I like tabbed, I don't know where it was, but Ellie was getting like kind of self-conscious because she wasn't wearing pants or whatever, and she was like, "Oh, I'm a bigger girl, like I'm not beautiful or whatever." And I like tabbed that. I was like, "Girl, you get me?" Like, oh my gosh. And he was like, "No, you're beautiful." And I feel like he always picked out like the things about her that like society wouldn't deem beautiful, like her curly hair, and she was wearing like the purple hat that was like all mangled or whatever, and like her body type or whatever, but not in a gross way. And so I really liked that. It was kind of like cheesy, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment where she is like uncomfortable about her body and like an apocalyptic wasteland, I was like, that is so true to life though. Like that's how deep like that kind of self-consciousness goes. Like it felt very realistic and like
y'all gotta look like Angelina Jolie if it's the apocalypse.
Yeah. Like I really appreciated that moment too and how Morris like responded to that.
Nice. Okay, there's another couple of relationships that I want to mention before we move. I do want to have a conversation because I think that this book has really good rep from what I've heard on a lot of levels. But how?
Cassie, no!
Oh my God.
No, Cassie.
What? Christine, continue, dog.
Baby, that's it's your butthole. It's for you and Briar.
How did we? Okay, so family relationships in this. Who was? I'm sorry, Brie, if I'm about to spoil you for something, but like, who was expecting Brixton to pay the plays? Oh, I knew you'd be excited. The role that he was going to play in this.
Okay, I need to begin because this is my trope. Okay, so I get really fucked up about brother relationships and shit because my brother passed away, so I'm like always like very sensitive to it. But like I fucking cried, man. I just was like, his brother's actually his dad in a weird fucked up way, but I love it.
You know,
he's like, I gave you my DNA, and I was like, he gave him his DNA.
Yeah. It occurred to me, like, the fact that Brixton could be good, like, occurred to me as a possibility, like, shortly before that. I was like, that would be a really dramatic plot twist if that would, like, happen. But I hadn't really, like, seriously considered it. And then it happened. It was, like,
Well, I
such a
knew
great
when
scene.
Morris shut down.
What?
Yes.
That
I
wasn't even on my radar.
No, that's not like, because he spends, and like you can see how he's been raised is definitely coloring his interactions with his brother. But oh my god, I love that. And then on Janelle's side, her family situation is just absolutely heartbreaking and fucking tragic. Like, as someone who does not get along with her parents, that's just like fucking tragic. I would be hurt.
The dad thing was so
That's
sad.
really hard.
I mean, like the mom thing was also sad, but like grounded also in like personal choice and coping.
Yeah, there was some element of personal choice for her.
Whereas the dad thing was just fucking terrible. Like just.
And it was
He
really
got
interesting.
He got fucking Bucky, didn't he? They Buckied him.
Yes, they did. Like, and I really liked how she tied that into the plot with like, and some of the commentary where she's talking about like they didn't want anything to do with him before the aliens came, but when the aliens came, they were like, "Well, you're the best spoken of us," and they sent him out, and that's what put him at risk. And I was like, is that not just like how people work with activism sometimes and stuff? Like, I'm just like you don't put any effort into protecting the people that you want to do like the message. Real Disney shit going on there. Star Wars shit. So, and oh my god, every time her mom, like when you saw that at the end where her mom's sitting there going like, I just need another sip. That was chilling.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I just can't get over the fact that they kept calling it a vaccine, which was really, really fucked for me because like it's not. That's not what a vaccine is. But they're like, yeah,
I know,
it's a vaccine, and I was like, stop gaslighting me as the reader.
I know. That was one thing. I was like, I hate that choice, like that, which is not the author's fault, but
having lived through 2021, was a little bit concerning.
Right? I don't want anyone connecting vaccines to this.
No, same. Like that was in my head the whole time. Like
this must be where they got the idea of the microchips from. They've all read The Sound of Stars.
I guess.
You know what? I believe that every anti-vaxxer has read this like queer black.
I mean,
that's definitely what happened.
Most of the queer part is just under the radar enough that like I could maybe get my mom to read this and not complain too much. Maybe get her to think about something.
But I don't actually think it's under the radar. I think it's just normalized.
Yeah.
Like, cause she's like, yeah, gender doesn't matter to me. I'm attracted to all people. I've wanted to kiss Alex. I want Alice, not Alex. He's in the bathroom.
No, you want to kiss Alex.
Sometimes. I want to kiss more. Like, you know what I mean? I think it is I don't think it's under the radar. I think it's just like, she's cool, and also Demi, have a nice life. Like that's it. It's just like it's not so a big deal into the writing, into the characters that it's not like, and she was gay, like 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 is she?
One of the nice things I like about that is that like the context of Ellie explaining demisexuality, which is this fantastic quote that I love. And I know that it may not be like there are so many different levels on the ACE spectrum.
Yes.
But like I like the fact that the context of it was her teaching Morris something about himself. Like he is in fact, like she's explaining it, but he is learning something about himself that he didn't know. Because I think a lot of us have had that. Like that was my moment when I found out what Demi was. Like, oh, okay. This sounds familiar. And I loved that. Like, I loved how well done that was.
I felt like that when I learned about relationship anarchy. I was like,
see, I'm just not strong enough for that.
world.
I would be
about being strong. It's about individual relationships and not giving into capitalism.
That was a great
I'm just telling you that my insecurity would ruin me in that case. Oh my god, I wish we could, but it's a freaking standalone.
Also, wait, Margaret, you can
Own thing is
practice
a
monogamy and be a
novella.
relationship anarchist.
Oh,
Like a
interesting.
cute little novella about Morris's mom would be cool.
You will have to
That'd
tell
be
me
a
more
cool
about this
idea.
later, Christine.
Yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's relationship anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you must have 3 partners or you're not an anarchist. Like, no, it's relationship anarchy.
I'm still wrapping my head around regular anarchy. So let me get on more on that. Let me figure that one out. Anyways, so speaking of the demisexual / ace rep, I know we have some people that can speak on how well the rep is done in this book on certain aspects of it. Obviously, we can't cover everything because none of us are a Black teenager. But
you don't say.
Yeah, I'm shocked by this too. But like, I know that there are a lot of things that she was able to just like make such. I love how just integrated and normal they were. Like, yes, Anne Marie, I'm sorry to let you know that it is in fact a standalone. Yeah, that's my only gripe with the ending. Is I wish it had had a sequel. And now I've lost my train of thought because I'm mad about that. Where was I going?
Demi.
Yeah, I was going with we started on that one. No, I like how like it's stuff that's covered and it's mildly educational in some places, like it explains it, but it also is like it's just there in the narrative. Yeah. Like you learn a lot. I feel like you learn a lot about, like, for example, anxiety just through Ellie having to go through her usual experiences. Like, it doesn't have to be a moment of like, I have anxiety and it's da 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 da, like just like listing all
exactly. Just like not be, I'm gay. Like it was the same. It's the same thing. It was just like this was so like part of the author and the character's experience that it was.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is like it gives some description and explanation of some things so that you understand if it's not part of your life experience, you understand a little bit, but it's not giving you everything. So it's not like they're trying to teach you all of it, because that's up to you. If you don't know about something and you read about it, it's up to you if you want to.
You have the tools to go and
more about that thing,
into it further.
Whatever it is, whether it's, a sexuality thing, whether it's a racial thing or an ethnicity thing, whether it's a religious thing, whether it's whatever, a historical thing. If you want to go and research more about it, go and research more about it. You don't have to tell me all about it in the book. Like, and give me enough that I'm interested and intrigued to learn.
And I have context, enough context that it's not going to throw me out of the story, but not so much that I am, it's a textbook.
Yeah.
So I like that because like you could tell, I know a lot of this is actually from the author's own life. I know, I don't know about the anxiety, but I know the hypothyroidism is definitely something that the author shares. Obviously the author is Black as well as Ellie is. So like there are definitely places where there are intersections between the character.
Yeah, but is she also an Allori?
She is not, but the Allori are made up and so therefore cannot be appropriated.
I might have fallen in love with her right there if you told me she was also a robot alien.
Let's see. Alicia Dow is a former librarian and pastry chef living abroad with her partner in Germany. When she's not writing, you can find her having epic dance parties with her daughter, baking, reading, or taking teeny adventures around Europe.
Okay, well, the Germany and pastry chef thing, I'm in love with her anyways.
Your best life is what it sounds like to me.
Clearly, she sounds like she's having a great time.
It does. Like, goals. You do it.
Fantastic.
Okay. I think
Bree who they are. Hey, Bree.
We're gonna chat for a little bit longer. I'm gonna start wrapping this up soon because I know, Bree, we need to hop onto your channel here in a bit. But in the chat, if there's anything else you want to bring up about the book specifically, or if there's anything else the host we haven't covered. Christine was so quick with that. Like, my God.
Yeah, so many thoughts all the time.
Okay.
So Alistair, Rupert, and Cecil they're a triad, right?
I knew that's where you were going to go with that.
They are. Right? Please. Thank you.
I mean, they definitely give off those vibes. They also give off, like, Alistair and Cecil give off mad, like, Beatrice and Benedict vibes.
Well, we know they're together. But was Rupert also involved?
No. I don't think they are
he was
together.
in it
I think
enough
they are
to
in denial
definitively-
about their feelings for each other, and
No,
it's coming out
they're-
of argument.
But I think it's like casual, you know?
Yeah.
It's a very casual.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
But
It's
then
not
there
like-
was,
Okay.
they were all. Are you playing sound on Margaret's live show?
It's okay, Alex. You're fine. I couldn't even hear it.
Alexander
okay.
Michael Pagnan.
Brianna says that she's also very public about mental health. That's good. Oh, yes. Okay, so Alistair lost a partner at one
That was-
point.
I
That
mentioned
was mentioned. Like, there's
Yeah.
an off.
Yeah, that was the only thing where I'm like, I am also getting vibes between Alistair
Oh,
and
Alistair's
Cecil,
definitely at least bi.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
No, but I mean, like, he still seems like
At
actively breathing
least
this
bi.
person.
mhm.
at least
I mean,
bi.
I don't. Okay, let me.
As if that's not the coolest thing to be.
Let me reword it. Is attracted to more than one gender, if not all of them.
Alistair is thank God bi.
Yes. Okay. Definitely.
Thank you.
Bi.
Also, I just want to like clarify that there's this like perception that bisexual people like aren't attracted to other, but like we are. Like there's a purple in the flag for a reason. It's not just pink and blue. Like
Alright.
I do not discriminate.
No, I'm just.
saying.
My understanding is 2 or more, and then pan is gender doesn't matter.
Yeah. But then but that doesn't like exclude. I don't know. I feel like when it's like at least bi, but could be into
No,
more.
that was worded
like the
poorly, for sure.
perception, because like that's always the accusation, right? That like bisexual people are like inherently transphobic and shit like that. I'm just like,
No.
don't put
No.
that in my mouth.
No, you're right. That could have been worded better.
Slide into my DMs. Like,
I'm already in your DMs, Christine.
slide into them again. Okay, I just want to clarify that. Cool.
No. You're right. Okay. Oh, I like this. Liz is like, with time being all over for them. Good
like
Lord, would you work with me? I'm sorry. This particular mouse. Oh, it doesn't want to work. Okay, with time being all over the place for them, they could be with anyone and everyone at the same time.
That would be the best case scenario in one's life.
I feel like I would get so much stress and anxiety if I was Andaran, but also being Andaran seems like it would be the coolest.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, all right. Do we have any other thoughts besides the fact that Christine has to point out that we have a triad in the book, even if they are
We
not?
did, right?
I mean, you're forgetting about Whisper.
Lauren, back me up. Lauren, babe, you read it, right? You felt that.
I mean, maybe.
I think they definitely have all or will all end up sleeping with each other in that group at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In some configuration. They're just all like,
I'm not even there for the sex. I'm just there for the dynamics, you know?
yes.
Well, it's the way that they converse in the interviews just sounds like they're so open with each other in a specific way. A very specific way, not just like in a friendly way.
Yeah, just like everyone's allowed to like love each other.
You know? Like it transcends just like we're, having a really great conversation. It's like, no, they do this all the time. They're like they're emotionally very intimate with one another.
They're
consistently.
very much give off found a family vibes. Like they have found their people. Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a personal idea of where that level, but no matter what level you want to put them on, they have found their people.
I'm not so much thinking about like the sexual dynamic. I'm more thinking of like the like intimacy dynamic, kind of like what you're saying. That they all seemed like they were like inseparable. Like
it's like they speak to each other without words, you know? In like
and they know stuff really intimate about each other.
Yeah. So we can all agree that was poly representation.
Does it need to be explicit and on the page, or explicit on the page?
It was poly representation in the same way that Bucky Barnes is bisexual representation.
Okay.
That I can get behind.
Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts about the book? I'm trying to think if there was. Oh, I had. What did I do with my note cards? I had a couple of things that I actually did want to bring up, and now I've lost my note cards. So I guess we'll just not bring that up because I can't remember it. Other thoughts?
What happened to the dogs?
You know,
I don't want to ask that question, Kristen.
Let's not think about that one too hard.
But did they? I'm wondering because, like, could you come as a dog? Like, I know that they wanted to like inject themselves into humans, but like, could I choose to be a greyhound for a day?
That is the most Christine thing I have ever heard you say outside of Alistair, Cecil, and Rupert are a triad.
You know, honestly,
and then
I don't think it's a bad idea. It's a great idea. I would support being a dog for a day. Like, think of all the great things. You get to relax when you want. You get to play when you want. You get to eat when you want. You can run around and nobody judges you for it.
People will give you affection and there's no sexual implications involved.
So maybe you're uglier than my dogs. That's fine.
Christine, would I be pretty enough to hang out with Cassie and Briar if I were a dog?
What kind of dog are you?
I don't know. What kind of dog?
What lines do you come from? What category breed are you?
I'm German on one side and we don't know on the other.
I'm already feeling a strong no. I'm gonna need to see your 3-generation pedigree before I determine that. No, I would let ugly dogs hang out with my dogs. It's like,
would you think I was pretty if I were a dog?
Margaret, I asked you for your 3-generation pedigree, and you couldn't even give me one.
I don't even know. I know my parents' names and my grandparents' names.
Not your human pedigree, Margaret. You said if you were a dog.
If I was a dog.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what breed I would be if I were a dog. I don't know them well enough.
Then I can't tell you the answer to that.
You're supposed to know what breed I'd be, Christine. Anyways, Mitchell is pointing out, like, he likes how the book works as a love letter to the importance of all arts and culture, even in an apocalypse. Mm-hmm. I really like how...
Yes, I fully agree.
How, like, it wraps up at the end talking about it's not just that people could pass messages in books that makes them dangerous. It is the books and the music themselves, because that gets people like riled up.
Yeah. Beautiful about Angie Thomas being like, it could have been anything. It could have been like Fahrenheit 40 whatever, or like what, like it could have been Brave New World, but she like specifically chose Angie Thomas, and I'm like, fuck yes. Yeah. That's the book.
I think it definitely like it ties into there because she was like, there is definitely a strong social justice theme going throughout this entire book for the entire, like, it's about colonization. It's also about social justice. It's about like
tourism,
human rights. I liked that.
Yeah, it touches on a lot of things.
Yeah. One thing the focus on art really made me think about too is like, I think it really shows how one of the functions of art, at least in my opinion, and I think this book shows that too, is to be aspirational. It's like to be an inspiring piece of art. It's like I know that can be used as like a oh, pat yourself on the back, we don't need to do anything because this is such a hopeful story. But I think it can also like galvanize people. Mm-hmm. And it just, I don't know, I feel like right now there's this trend on booktube and like book blogging in general that like everybody loves to say how much they love unhappy endings. And I just like I get what they mean, and I don't think books should sugarcoat stuff, but I think there are ways to do a story that is satisfying and that is better than our world,
Mhm.
and that still grapples with those serious issues. Because if we can't even imagine something better, how can we make something better?
It's like a
Lauren, Xander, do you have any thoughts on like the idea of like art and I guess art and revolution or art in the apocalypse?
Yeah,
I was very sad about that gutted library. That made me very sad.
I know. That was
The
hard.
gutted library was like the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
Mm.
Still not over it.
Never gonna be over that. Never gonna be over
Nope. Never over it.
The
Never
one-
forget
that.
2K21.
Freaking Julius Caesar, man.
The one thing I do want to point out is when they're in the library, one thing that like hit me weird is she's going, look, this is the world without humans. And I'm just sitting there going, I mean, like, the world was fine. The world itself was fine before we had libraries and all of like, as much as I love my library and the accumulated human knowledge, like it's not necessary for nature to survive. I think that one could have been, but like I think for the human spirit to survive, you have to have things like art and literature.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, okay. So, let's wrap this up. Unless there are final thoughts. Any final thoughts? 2 minutes or less. Okay. So, is there anything? I know not everyone is going to maybe have stuff coming up on their channel, but if you do, just take a minute if you want to tell us what's going on, what you're going to be talking about anytime soon. Let's start with, look, I'm not going to put anything. Does anyone have anything they would like to mention that is going to be coming up on their channel? Go ahead and plug it. Ooh, Kara.
Yeah, so in August, I am hosting with Julia from Shakespeare and Such and Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. We're doing another round of All the World's a Page, which is a Shakespeare themed readathon, and it's totally chill. Like our goal with this is to make Shakespeare less intimidating. If you just want to read books that fit the prompts and have nothing to do with Shakespeare, that's totally great. If you want to read retellings that fit the prompts, that's great. If you just want to read like one Shakespeare play because you've always wanted to or whatever, we really want to like remind people that Shakespeare is fun and ridiculous. Like all of our prompts for this round are based off of tropes that show up in his plays. And he is like truly a ridiculous storyteller, and we want to celebrate that.
Whoever decided that Shakespeare was only serious needs to be drawn and quartered.
It's ridiculous. Like the number of dick jokes alone, it's like you're saying this guy is like, you're not supposed to laugh at this play. Yeah. It's like, I mean, yes, there are beautiful passages about, love and the human experience, but also there's a lot of dick jokes.
And he's the one that invented the word elbow. Who thinks of the word elbow?
It's a L and it's a bow. It's a elbow.
Oh my god. So speaking of Bree's singing ability,
reading.
Christine was pointing at you. Do you have something coming up on your channel that we should know about?
I have sprints in an hour.
Oh, that's right.
I was like, you know that she does.
I also just did. My dad got married at the beach, and so I did a vlogs for that. Those just went up, and then I'll have Vaultathon vlogs coming up when I, get done reading and have enough time to actually edit because I'm not reading.
My Vaultathon vlog with the way things are going will be going up in August. Nope, September.
But yeah, we'll have reading sprints in an hour, and I'm gonna read until I finish.
I'm staying there with you.
When midnight my time happens, whichever one comes first.
You've got me till 11. So
you got me till 11:30, babe.
Anyways, anybody else have anything fun coming up on their channel that they're doing? Or it doesn't have to necessarily be their channel. It could be like if you're doing anything on Instagram or Twitter or
my dogs are on Instagram. And as has been established, they're very pretty.
Yes. Xander?
If anybody is interested, I host a weekly reading hour on my Twitter every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. To join, I tweet out a link, and it's like a Google Meet. And like, if it's your first time, DM either me or Audrey over at Perpetual Pages and be like, hey, I'm coming to the reading hour. This is my name on Google. And then we'll be like, cool, we'll let you in so we know you're not a troll. So yeah, that we have that. And then also I filmed a mid-year freakout tag. I don't know when I'm gonna edit and caption it, but
Call me out. Call me out, Xander.
But yeah, that's it.
Mitchell is like, we love your time capsule vlogs.
Sure, Margaret. You're gonna be posting stuff from 2018 next year, I swear.
I mean, like,
No.
books are evergreen content, though. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always going to care what you think about a book, even if you read it 3 years ago.
I mean, that's fair, but as I told Margaret, like, I have a deadline on when I'll watch someone's wrap up into the month. Like,
I don't understand that, but okay, that's fair.
I do.
See, whereas when I find somebody and I subscribe to them, I then go back and I watch their videos from the beginning.
I tried to do it
And
for
I
you.
go all the way
I tried
through.
to do it for you because you did it, and I was like, I can't. I don't know. I'm a fucking historian. I should be into like watching older shit more, but I'm.
See, I need to know where they came from and how they got to where they are. Like, I need their
God.
whole YouTube
Have you gotten to my
backstory.
channel yet, Marie? Because there are some videos you can skip.
Yeah, definitely
No,
don't
you're
watch
next.
all of my videos. Most
I'm
of
on Brianna now. You're next, Margaret.
I think most of the embarrassing ones I have privated because they're mostly either books or a certain company that I no longer associate myself with. But like, anyways, like
I privated the one of myself swearing 300 times.
Oh, that's funny. Lauren, do you have anything that you are involved in or that you will be doing?
Well, I try to upload videos every like Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, depending on how my internet like
Wants to work.
that, you know. And then of course next month is beta, so I'm gonna try and put myself through that again because hell is a great place to be.
Hell with friends.
But that's so true.
And that's it.
That's hilarious. I love it. Okay, Christine, do you have anything you want to? Anything?
I literally already talked about my dogs. So
Okay.
that's at Golden's on the Hunt on Instagram, and they retrieve. And next week they're going to be on ducks. So if you want to see duck corpses in my dog's mouth, please give it a follow.
I love the way you say
Which I know
things.
you do because birds suck.
Christine is secretly a Herondale.
But Cassie's never had ducks before, so I'm really excited. Briar's worked on ducks before, but Cassie never has.
Oh,
And as we all know, Cassie
Cassie's
does
a big girl
everything she
now.
tries perfectly because she's the greatest dog. Yes. No, actually, she's very small. But like, yeah.
But she's a girl. She's
finally
growing
going
up.
her
It's a rite of passage.
Look, there's
All right. Oh, I should probably tell people what the dates for the next. Does anyone remember what the dates for the next Vaultathon are?
You've never told
Margaret,
us.
I forgot the day my own readathon ended on. So
Okay, so for those of you, we have not chosen the movie. We haven't gotten there yet, but let me hold on because it's always the third week. It is on the Twitter. I want to say it is going to be the 13th through the 19th. I could be the 20th through the 26th. So hold on. Let me just be correct about this. Christine, talk about something.
So
Ask people questions. Get them involved in a conversation.
the one time I'm speechless.
Oh, wait. I put this in a handy thread.
In the car so on the way home today from
I got it. Okay, it is the 13th through the 19th.
of what?
Of September.
what?
So
Okay.
it's in September, the 13th through the 19th. I'm gonna figure out the movie and the book later.
Wait.
is it based on the ones that we voted on? 'Cause if
It is
so, I'm-
not because
Margaret. One of my choices was doing well. I'm just saying.
I have an idea. And then along came Zeus. He hurled his thunder.
Christine, you already know the process by which we will be deciding the next movie.
Lock those
So
fuckers in a trap. They're trapped.
I would love to do Hercules, and maybe when we get through all of the people that I would like to have their own turns choosing movies. If we have not, I will choose that one because it's one of my
those
favorites.
so good.
Hercules are
So
gonna
good.
kneecap Yeah.
But anyways, so
Oh, did we say we're reading the Song of Achilles if we watch Hercules, right? That's what I was going to say.
Brilliant.
Xander,
Yes.
Xander.
We
that is
just
a
took
sad
over your
book.
reading.
You know how I am about sad books.
You have to read it though.
It's so good, Margaret.
Sad and it's
Margaret.
tragic.
Margaret, it's not even that tragic. They're like, it's been a long time.
We were all just talking about the Library of Alexandria. I just want to remind you. Christine, none of us are over it.
It's such a good book. Margaret, Margaret, don't be homophobic. Margaret.
You're such a weirdo, Christine.
Margaret.
We will see. I have not gotten there yet. I have to figure out what next month's movie is first and group book. That's stressful enough.
Okay, but just so everyone's clear, like we all want this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if there was a meeting,
if you watch Hercules, you have to read the Song of Achilles. It is law. I am making
complete agreement with this.
it.
It's a mutiny. It's bad.
Like we're uprising. Look, the whole chat, Anne-Marie and Brianna agree.
So far, this is in response to Hercules. So, anyways, everyone is linked down below in the description box.
It'd be a hate crime not to. Come
It would be a
on.
hate crime not to.
Come on.
We're not making that decision in this. We are
It's the
not making that
perfect
decision.
movie for bisexuals because Meg and Hercules are hot. And Apollo is purple. He's purple.
Okay. All right. I need to go turn my AC down because it is freaking ridiculously hot right now. And
Wait, you just turn your AC down? The
down.
temperature. Okay.
The temperature.
I find that you're like, it's too cold. Turn it off.
No, I'm literally sitting here sweating. So everyone is linked down below in the description box. I've been sitting in this chair for way too long. Please make sure that you check out their channels, see what they do, see if there's somebody you might want to subscribe to. And I will see you later. We will talk